What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Michigan Sports Talk here, and in this one, we got some more recruiting news here for the Wolverines, some new flip targets, including on a 5-star running back, and where Michigan stands on the offensive line in the 2026 class, plus some new practice clips of Donovan McCulley, Shamari Morgan, and other wide receivers. We also go over what Esposito and Grant Newsome said on the defensive line and the offensive line, as Esposito talked about some younger players who have been impressive, including a freshman who is standing out and is an unbelievable athlete. And also along with that other freshman, Michigan might have their next Will Johnson. And also Grant Newsome talks about the offensive line battles at left tackle and right guard, why this offensive line group is a tight-knit group. It's all going to be in this video and more, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so to start this video, first I want to start with some more recruiting news here for the Wolverines, as there are some new flip targets here for Michigan. We'll first start in the 2027 class. Michigan appears to be going after the 2027 5-star running back Kamon Spell. He's currently committed to Penn State, ranked 9th nationally on 24/7 Sports Composite Rankings, the #1 running back in the class. As according to Ethan McDowell of On3 and the Wolverine, he said that he remains committed to Penn State, but the door remains open for Michigan, and he will take game day trips to Ohio State, Notre Dame, Tennessee, and then also a stop at the Big House to see Michigan host Ohio State. And Michigan is one of the few schools continuing to build a relationship with him. He does come from the state of Pennsylvania, so it's going to be hard to sway him away from Penn State. And then we also have talked about the Missouri wide receiver commit in the 2026 class, the 4-star Jabari Brady. Wolverines already have 3 wide receiver commits in the class, looking to add another one right there, though, as Ron Bellamy showing a lot of love to him. And then also in the 2026 class on the offensive line, Michigan currently has 3 commitments on the offensive line with Malachi Lee, Marky Walbridge, and Bear McWhorter. But according to Steve Lorenz of the Michigan Insider, Michigan would like to either, try to flip an already offered offensive lineman or wait things out through senior season, look for some late risers and diamond in the rough type of prospects. And one prospect they could circle back to is the 2026 3-star offensive tackle, current USC commit, Cannon Smith, from the state of Colorado, as USC currently has 7 offensive line commits in their class. So that's one guy they could circle back to, along with others, like even a big one like John Turntine, a top 100 interior offensive lineman from the state of Texas. He committed to Texas, but Michigan was in the mix there. Would obviously be hard to flip him, but that is another one they could go after. So that is some recruiting news right there. Some more flip targets here for the Wolverines. And then I did want to talk about some recent video clips from Michigan Fall Camp, featuring some Michigan receivers, Donovan McCulley, and then also Shamari Morgan with a one-handed catch, as these videos came from Go Blue TV and from Michigan football social media in their X account. And I tell you what, I am very excited to see Donovan McCulley and also Shamari Morgan, and also Frederick Moore, which John Jansen recently said on In the Trenches podcast that, Frederick Moore, he thinks that's going to be, the big deep threat for the Wolverines. He's got the speed. But I'm just looking for these receivers, man, a lot of them to step up. There's talent in the room. We didn't get to really see it last season due to the poor quarterback play, but the quarterback play is going to be much better this upcoming season, and we're going to start to see these receivers, get their time to shine here. And then defensive line coach Lou Esposito did meet with reporters on Wednesday, talked about fall camp and some updates. He first, started by talking about freshman edge Nate Marshall. He said that he is an unbelievable athlete. You could just line him or you could just line the ball up right now and say, go pass rush, go win. And he could do that. He's learning how to play. He's learning every day. Because he's one of those guys. He didn't come in at semester. He just came in earlier this summer, so he's learning through a fire hose. But athletically, he's really good. He's going to physically get better as he's in the program longer, but he's super explosive, super twitchy, and you could see he was a basketball player, so we're super excited about him, and he's going to be a great one. And Michigan has a lot of, talented freshmen here that could potentially get playing time. Obviously, Bryce Underwood, receiver Andrew Marsh, offensive lineman Andrew Babalola, even offensive tackle Ty Haywood, can fight for, probably not a starting spot, but, to be in the rotation and get some playing time potentially. But obviously, another big one is Shamari Earls, the cornerback, and many have compared him to Will Johnson, according to Anthony Broom of On3 and the Wolverine. He says that Shamari Earls physically looks the part already and wears the same number, and our glimpse at him this spring backs the comparison up of, a comparison to Will Johnson. He said it's going to be hard to shake that comparison anytime soon, and he looks ready to roll. So Shamari Earls, next Will Johnson, very well could be. That was one pitch that Michigan gave him on or when they were recruiting him and when they flipped him, that he could be the next Will Johnson here at Michigan. He's definitely going to get some playing time this season. That's another freshman I'm very excited to watch this upcoming season. But back to what Lou Esposito said to the media. He talked about David Polypoly and Benny Patterson on the interior of the defensive line. He said David has done an unbelievable job in the offseason. He's trimmed down, put himself and his body in a situation where he could be totally effective. He's had some really good practices. The last practices, he's still a work in progress, but you're starting to see him become more vocal. And then Benny Patterson, he's heavy-handed, came in early, and he's a kid that reported in January at 240, and he's at 274 right now. Those are two younger guys on the defensive line right there, including Benny Patterson, who was a 3-star, but seems to be very underrated, could become a force on the defensive line for the Wolverines in the future. Also spoke on Cameron Brandt. He said he could line up and play inside if we needed him. He is physically tough. He's a very underrated athlete, and he has an unbelievable knack to get out of his hips and play with square, strong stance. And he just wants to get better consistently. He's always in there watching film. I think this will be a big year for him to really take off. It'll be fun, but yeah, he's like a third starter for us, as Cameron Brandt gonna be a part of that 10-man rotation for the Wolverines. He's one that really started, to show his ability later in the season for the Wolverines when he got some playing time. And he also said that TJ Guy, Derek Moore have been great this summer. They've been working hard, leading others, and he said they're operating like pros. And then also offensive line coach Grant Newsome spoke to the media. He did state that the candidates to start at left tackle are Evan Link, Andrew Babalola, and Blake Frazier. He said Link's been there, played well in the bowl game. He's done a great job of elevating his play, and we really challenged him to take that next step to go from a guy who it's all right, you're kind of feeling your way through your first season, getting used to it, to go be the tackle you're capable of being. And he said he's having a really, really good camp. And then he said, Andrew Babalola competing there as well. And Blake Frazier has gotten himself back healthy, and he's done a remarkable job for a guy who was out for spring of getting himself back in the mix there. And he did say, I want to brag on my guys for a little bit. We are much deeper than we were last year, and it's a credit to those guys and the investment they made in themselves, not just individually, but getting closer and tighter as a unit. That we feel like we're going to be better but deeper than we were a year ago. Also spoke at right guard. He said Nathan Afobe, Lawrence Tatar, Jake Guarnera, Brady Norton, talked about them, but he said Nate Afobe has done a great job of making that next step from where he was last year to being a guy who's put himself in the mix to be the guy. And obviously Lawrence Tatar, who transferred in from Ferris State. We've been mixing, Jake Guarnera there some as well as Brady Norton, but another good competition. And again, it's a credit to those guys where it's not a feeling of, oh shoot, like we're going to have to play one of these guys eventually. More of we feel like all four of these guys are playing well enough that we can win. But, he definitely said the Michigan's offensive line is closer on and off the field than it was last season. That was something that the staff, wanted to improve this year. So that's definitely some great news, and that's only going to help them win football games and, only help them dominate out there together on the offensive line. And even Giovanni Ohadi has said, that they knew they needed to improve that. He compared last year to the past 3 years in the championship run. The group just wasn't as tight knit as those three previous groups, but now they've gone back to it, and this seems to be, a close, tight knit group again. So let me know what you guys think. And I also did want to mention that Grant Newsome also did state that legendary former Michigan wide receiver, Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard did speak to the team Wednesday, and his message was that, the mindset and perspective each player carries will directly lead to his success on the field in football and in life after the game. So definitely really cool there. Desmond Howard speaking to the team. Just wanted to mention that. But with that, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to go ahead, drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you are new around here. I greatly appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next video. Go Blue.